Hello everyone, welcome back to LitGenie after a long time. And believe me, I've missed you people enough to be fighting my way through various nitty-gritties, unwanted businesses of life that kept me from doing what I like doing the most, which is discussing my passion for literature. So here I am once again, back with our discussions on Mahabharata, the dear text we all love so much. This ancient text that no matter how many times you go back to, just manages to click right back into your domain of interests, isn't it? So yes, I'm so sorry for being so late. There have been too much of a gap between what we had been doing the last time and how much time I've taken to come back to it once again. But I am really thankful to all my listeners, to all my viewers, to all my dear students, to all my dear friends, colleagues, acquaintances who have coaxed me enough over and over again, letting me know how much they like LitGenie and how much they were waiting for the next video. So here I am once again reprising LitGenie, and yes, again it is Mahabharata. Well, we had been discussing our life with our times. This time we had sort of put the story of the Mahakabya into space, into our focus of understanding. So what we'll be doing today is we'll be picking up from a very important philosophical text that exists on its own as a spiritual discussion, but which is also an unavoidable part, an indispensable part of the Mahabharata as well. Well, I'm talking about the Srimad Bhagavat or the Bhagavad Gita, which is part of the Mahabharata. In fact, to be precise, the Bhagavad Gita appears in the 6th chapter, which is the Bhishma Parva of the Mahabharata, and it has as many as 700 verses. The Bhagavad Gita is often looked at as one of the most interesting philosophical conversations that ever has happened across discursive texts from Sanatana Dharma. The Bhagavad Gita in particular is a discussion amongst the Pandava prince Arjun and the royal charioteer who he was lucky enough to have, who accompanied him through the Kurukshetra war, none other than Lord Krishna. Well, the Bhagavad Gita takes place, this conversation takes place when poor Arjun, who is sort of in a dilemma trying to decide whether it is his call as a Kshatriya, his call for duty as a Kshatriya to go to war with his own kith and kin is more important, or whether he should lend an ear to this deep sense of guilt, a deep sense of misconduct that is dawning upon him, thinking that he's going to partake in a war, a stature of a war, the kind that has never been fought before, the result of which will be the destruction of his own extended family. So right before the Kurukshetra war is about to start, we find that Arjun is in a deep state of dilemma. He's going through self-doubt. He is questioning his own conduct and his own duty, sense of duty, and he is sitting there, caught between these two pushes and pulls of his discursive thinking. And this is when you find that his charioteer, the great Sri Krishna, comes and starts having a conversation with him. The course of this conversation is what we have the text as the Bhagavad Gita. Now, though it is set on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, the Gita addresses Arjun's moral dilemma about fighting in the war and presents us with profound philosophical and spiritual teachings. Of course, those teachings come to us through the dialogues being spoken, through the analogies, through the discussions, through the various comparisons that Krishna brings forth to Arjun to make him understand what exactly is his quote-unquote duty or dharma as the commander-in-chief of the Pandava army, and what exactly qualifies as dharma, right? So what follows is a step-by-step, extremely empowering, logical, enriching discussion that breaks down the category of dharma through various smaller aspects. We'll get into the details of those, but before that, what we also need to understand is that, having said that the Bhagavad Gita is a text of spiritual teachings, we need to remember it's not a prescriptive or a didactic text. It doesn't give you things that you need to do. It's not a to-do list. It is more of a discussion from a very logical perspective, where the conversations are laid bare open in front of you for you to understand, for you to bring your own understanding to it, for you to bring your own questions to it, ask those questions to the text, and see how the text answers you, thereby convincing you as a modern reader. Remember, what we will try to do here is that look at the Bhagavad Gita from a critical modern perspective. How does this philosophy still speak to us? Is it still relevant from our understanding? Is it still holding effective, truthful in terms of the problems we face today, the dilemmas at hand today, the situations we go through today? That's exactly how we will try to reduce the gap between this quote unquote classical text and where we stand today, 2025. The problems that are contemporary to us today, the situations we go through today, the dilemmas we go through, deciding upon what is right, which is the right thing to do and which is the wrong step to take. So that's the avenue we will take. Well, talking of the Bhagavad Gita, it explores themes of, there are distinctive thematic sections through which you can span out the entire text, but the most important central thematics are, first and foremost, theme of duty or dharma. Well, dharma, do remember that every time we use the word dharma, do not fall into the trap of interpreting dharma in the Western sense of the term law. The Sanatan Dharma root word, the Sanatan Dharma root term dharma stands for a much larger, expansive concept rather than just law. So, duty could be dharma, law could be dharma, rules could be dharma, regulations could be dharma. All of this can be included within the larger holistic category of dharma. So, that's the first thematic grounding upon which the Bhagavad Gita stands, a discussion and exploration around the element of dharma or duty. Second, righteousness and devotion, also referred to as bhakti. Now, this is the same bhakti that later on, by the fag end of the medieval times, sort of sees a much larger celebration through the bhakti movement that happened pan-India. It was the socio-religious reform movement that was spearheaded by great philosophical leaders like Meera, Kabir, Surdas, Tulsidas, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa Dev, Vivekananda, Guru Nanak, all these people who tried to free the way we Indians understood religion from the shackles of, from the chains of taboo, social evils, etc. The revivalism of the Hindu, not really Hindu, the revivalism of the Indian religious philosophical attributes that took place during the Bhakti movement, that category of Bhakti draws a direct interpretation, draws a direct aspiration from the way the Bhagavad Gita discusses righteousness or Bhakti or devotion. Next, the next category of thematic grounding upon which the Bhagavad Gita stands is Karma Yoga or selfless action. Now, this is one of the most important parameters upon which the Bhagavad Gita revolves, which is this concept of Karma Yoga or selfless action. Of course, don't worry, we will break down into all these categories, and believe me, discussions around each one of them is extremely interesting. And finally, what comes as the last but not the least of the thematics of the Bhagavad Gita is the pursuit of self-realization or Jnana Yoga. Self-realization, knowing who you are, coming to terms with your thought process and the self you are, is the greatest knowledge you can have, knowledge about the self, which is quote unquote Jnana. So, Jnana Yoga. So, the Bhagavad Gita, what does it do? It synthesizes these diverse pathways to liberation and remains still a conversation of Indian philosophy that still holds global spiritual thought, contemporary global spiritual thought, still holds this text as an extremely significant text of understanding? Well, I have sort of tried to provide a foundation to our understanding of what exactly the Bhagavad Gita is like, an introduction, a quick introduction, precise introduction to the text. Now, through the series of the following videos, we will break down across these 4 thematic categories upon which the Bhagavad Gita stands. Well, till the next video, see you all soon. And don't worry, this is not a fake promise. It's going to come back very soon, very soon. Thank you so much.